الحمد لله على نعمة الإسلام. الحمد لله على نعمة الإيمان. الحمد لله على نعمة الإحسان. الحمد لله على نعمة القرآن. الحمد لله على نعمة حبيبنا وسيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم خاتم الأنبياء والمرسلين. الحمد لله على يوم الجمعة، يوم أخصه الله بهذه الأمة. الحمد لله على نعمه كلها ظاهرها وباطنها. أما بعد، Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in revealing the Quran and in how it is arranged in terms of structure, we have the opening chapter, which is Al-Fatiha, chapter 1 of the Quran. But then after the Al-Fatiha, we have Surah Al-Baqarah, the chapter of the cow, which is the longest chapter in the Quran, taking almost 2 full juz, and then a 3/4 of a hizb. So literally 2.5 plus juz of the Quran. And as if the Fatiha is coming immediately to give us a whole commentary of Surah Al-Baqarah. Because if we look at it structurally, it begins by enumerating for us the qualities of the believers, or at least first giving us the criteria, meaning the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by saying Alif Lam Mim ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين. So it literally begins by giving us this criteria, this definition, that verily this book, depending on which ruwaya or which recitation, this book, there is no doubt in it, or in it there is guidance to those who have God consciousness. And then it enumerates for us what are the qualities of al-muttaqin. Right? الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ, those who believe in the unseen. Right? Those who believe which was revealed to you. الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِمَا أُنزِلَ إِلَيْكَ, that which is revealed to you. وَمَا أُنزِلَ مِن قَبْلِكَ, that which was revealed before you. وَبِالْآخِرَةِ هُمْ يُوقِنُونَ, and they have certitude of the hereafter. But more broadly, if we think about Surah Al-Baqarah, if we think of the first juz, it actually gives us 3 narratives that are so critical in terms of our understanding. So you have the 3 narratives of 3 prophets. You have the narrative of Adam, you have the narrative of Musa alayhi salam and his Bani Israel, and then it has the narrative of Ibrahim. And each one of these can give us an archetypal way to view the relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in that chapter for Adam, we know the narrative, إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً, I'm verily placing on this earth a vicegerent, a custodian, right? And then we have the dialogue that takes place with the angels. أَتَجْعَلُ فِيهَا مَنْ يُفْسِدُ فِيهَا وَيَسْفِكُ الدِّمَاءَ, are you going to place in it someone that is going to sow corruption and spill blood on this earth? And Allah responds to the angels, قَالَ إِنِّي أَعْلَمُ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. So Allah says, I know that which you know not. But what is critical is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in relations to Adam, He gives instructions to Adam. Right? Being in paradise, He says, you and Eve, you live in paradise and eat from wherever you choose, except this tree. وَلَا تَقْرَبَا هَذِهِ الشَّجَرَةَ فَتَكُونَا مِنَ الظَّالِمِينَ. don't come transgress to eat from this forbidden tree. Right? And again, Iblis insinuated to Adam and Eve to eat from the forbidden tree. So in essence, they did not follow the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's where we get the narrative that Adam and Eve, which is our forefather, all of us are from the progeny of Adam and Eve, and we, in essence, are cast out of paradise, which is our real abode. Because all of us are traveling to come back to paradise. That's our real home. Right? Inshallah, all of us will meet the Prophet to enter into paradise collectively. So what is instructive of Adam and Eve is they realized they're wrong. And they sought forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they didn't blame someone else. Right? So in essence, فَغَفَرَ لَهُمُ اللَّهُ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgave them during transgression, and they still had to face the consequences of being on earth. That's why we are here today. Then we get into the narrative of Bani Israel in chapter 1. And if we follow Moses' narrative of Bani Israel, every opportunity that God have given to Bani Israel to adhere to Allah's command. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes them out of the tribulation of Pharaoh. Right? And Pharaoh in Egypt transgressed upon the bounds of that which is permissible and that which is prohibited. In essence, said to Bani Israel and to the Egyptian, أَنَا رَبُّكُمُ الْأَعْلَى. Right? I am your highest Lord. There is no other Lord above me. And more importantly, when Moses and Aaron came, arrogantly, Pharaoh says, why don't you build me a long ladder, right? Sarh, which is a ladder or a high place, so I can take a look at Moses' God. This is a sarcastic way. Right? Again, in the Arabic that is constructed, is sarcastically, is talking to Moses and Aaron. لَعَلِّ, like لَعَلَّ in Arabic is a particle of doubt. Right? لَعَلِّ أَزُورُكَ غَدًا. Maybe I'll visit you today. I'm busy because I'm going to go this place. So use لَعَلَّ. Right? Versus إِنِّي زَائِرُكَ غَدًا. I am visiting you fairly surely. So لَعَلَّ is a particle of doubt. Right? There is, so in essence, Pharaoh in here is casting doubt on the existence of God when he's speaking to Moses and Aaron. But more importantly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saves Bani Israel, sending the miracles on Moses, parting the sea for Moses to rescue Bani Israel and take them out of the oppression. And as soon as they go into the other side of the Red Sea, they turn on Moses and they turn on Aaron and begin to worship the calf. And that's where the title of the chapter is actually derived from the episode of Bani Israel. So Moses went with an appointment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to speak to God, so he would be getting the revelation, and he comes back and Bani Israel are worshipping the calf. And God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives them. Then they come back into a state of disobedience and not following the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the key narrative in relation to Bani Israel, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala command them something, they say, سَمِعْنَا وَعَصَيْنَا. That we have listened, heard what you said, and we decided to disobey. So there is different level of saying سَمِعْنَا, but we did not understand. سَمِعْنَا, and we forgot. Versus سَمِعْنَا وَعَصَيْنَا, that we heard and we disobeyed. So there's a conscious effort of disobeying Allah in relation to His judgment. So the lesson for us in here, because these are narratives that are archetypal. And I know that some of us, we begin to what you call think that we have muscles, and therefore look at God is speaking ill about these people, so we arrogantly begin to think that we are better. Allah is drawing for us lessons to understand, سَمِعْنَا وَعَصَيْنَا, that we listened, we heard, and we disobeyed. So just to give you an example, in many parts of the Bay Area, you have Muslims that run liquor stores, right? And in some of the liquor store shelves, they have هذا من فضل ربي. That's سمعنا وعصينا. It is much better to say سمعنا and I am very weak and I can't do much, but to say هذا من فضل ربي, there is no relationship between Johnny Walker and Rabbuka. There is nothing whatsoever. Right? So that's a level of سمعنا وعصينا archetypal, thinking of Moses' narrative, because we have the guidance. It's just we admit that we're weak. And there is what you call some Johnny-come-lately smarty Muslims. They say, well, Allah only said, for Muslims, so we're just telling it to the unbelievers. Well, that's exactly what some of the narrative of Bani Israel, that we don't have any obligation on those who don't believe. Right? So again, archetypal. Right? Rather than think arrogantly that we're better, because often this narrative is there. So Moses and his experience with Bani Israel, سَمِعْنَا وَعَصَيْنَا. It's then the second narrative. Third narrative is Ibrahim. إِنِّي جَاعِلُكَ لِلنَّاسِ إِمَامًا. I am placing you as an imam, as a foremost for all of people. إِنِّي جَاعِلُكَ لِلنَّاسِ. Right? And open-ended. That's why the Prophet ﷺ said, I am on the path of Ibrahim. And then Ibrahim is ummah, was described as a whole ummah, as a whole nation. Right? وَإِذِ ابْتَلَى إِبْرَاهِيمُ رَبَّهُ بِكَلِمَاتٍ فَأَتَمَّهُنَّ. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tested Abraham with words, and he actually fulfilled the test. Complete obedience. Ibrahim tell Ismail, إِنِّي أَرَى فِي الْمَنَامِ أَنِّي أَذْبَحُكَ. I am witnessing in the dream that I am sacrificing you. Ismail responds to his father, افعل ما شئت, افعل ما تؤمر. Do what you are commanded. You will find me from the ones who are patient, steadfast. Complete obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the first juz of Al-Baqarah is dealing with giving us archetypal responses to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's commands. So Adam is archetypal, Moses is archetypal, and Ibrahim alayhi salam. So that's why we are on the path of Ibrahim. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said that you are the most deserving of Ibrahim alayhi salam. So that's the archetypal for us to emulate, to pursue, to visit. But let me warn, I am not talking about what you call the today most modern articulation that we have an Abrahamic religion, right? Which is increasingly becoming what you call the flavor of the day. You have Coke Zero, and the new flavor is the Abraham Coke that you drink. So if you're Muslim, you drink it, alhamdulillah, you'll recover. Right? That's the new flavor. So I'm not talking about that type of flavor. I'm talking about Ibrahim alayhi salam fulfilling the task of Allah. Then you get after, in the second juz, all of their laws, regulations, on prayers, on Hajj, on Siyam, on Talaq, divorce, and then on financial transactions, all in there, right, in Surah Al-Baqarah. And you get also the Ayat al-Kursi in Surah Al-Baqarah. And then it concludes by describing what we started with, by saying, آمَنَ الرَّسُولُ بِمَا أُنزِلَ إِلَيْهِ. After you look at reading the narratives, you're reading the laws, you're looking at what is asked of us, then says, آمَنَ الرَّسُولُ بِمَا أُنزِلَ إِلَيْهِ وَالْمُؤْمِنُونَ. كُلٌّ آمَنَ بِاللَّهِ. All of those who believe in Allah. وَمَلَائِكَتِهِ, and the angels. وَكُتُبِهِ, and the revealed, the revelations or the revealed text. وَرُسُلِهِ, and his messengers. وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ, and the judgment day. لَا نُفَرِّقُ بَيْنَ أَحَدٍ مِّنْهُمْ. Right? We do not distinguish between the prophets. Right? آمن الرسول بما أنزل إليه من ربه والمؤمنون كل آمن بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله لا نفرق بين أحد من رسله وقالوا سمعنا وأطعنا. Right? That we have listened and we obeyed. Subhanallah. Right? So that's again is describing to us, after you read all the narratives, to understand where our position as believers. And that's what Surah Al-Baqarah is giving us, this understand. That's why a statement from the Prophet ﷺ that if the Al-Baqarah is recited in a house, the shaitan does not enter into the household. Because it really gives you the anchor. You read Al-Fatiha and then you read Al-Baqarah. If you have these two, not to say that don't read the rest of the Quran, but this is an anchor. If you look at it, right, it describes, it gives us all of the guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعين به ونستغفره ونتوب إليه وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره المشركون. عباد الله أوصيكم وإياي بتقوى الله أوصيكم وإياي بتقوى الله أوصيكم وإياي بتقوى الله. So if we contemplate the second chapter of Al-Baqarah, it really gives us the anchor of what, as Muslims, what is it that is asked of us. And when Allah is saying, describing us, سَمِعْنَا وَأَطَعْنَا, often people say it's a blind faith or blind following. That's not what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asking us. It's often you find people that critique people of faith think that's blind following and there is no understanding. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, one of the most common words that are used is to reflect, to contemplate, to think. Right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the first revelation asks us to acquire knowledge. So having faith, right, does not mean to have blind following. It's to contemplate why you are actually doing what you're doing. Everything in the Quran is for our benefit. Even those things that we think might be difficult for us, it is still to our benefit. Because again, many people these days are into instantaneous gratification. It's like thinking of the share and like phenomena of belief. That you want to share and like, and you immediately want to think instantaneous response in our understanding. We are, if you think, we are on the long journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're going on a navigation to paradise. And you are on a long journey to be in the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the journey you are in. If you're on a different journey, then سَمِعْنَا وَعَصَيْنَا might work. But that's lead to your own destruction. Destruction in this world and ultimate destruction in the hereafter. So let us be people of true wisdom, true understanding, and always put سَمِعْنَا وَأَطَعْنَا as a way for us to articulate how our faith is the real ship that gets us into the harbor of safety with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us from among those people who would listen and obey that which has been given to us, سَمِعْنَا وَأَطَعْنَا, to be the ones who manifest our comprehension and understanding of the Quranic text and implement it in our daily life and in our affairs. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المؤمنين إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد اللهم إني داع فأمنوا اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت، وعافنا فيمن عافيت، وتولنا فيمن توليت، وبارك لنا فيما أعطيت، وقنا واصرف عنا بالخير شر ما قضيت، فإنك تقضي بالخير ولا يقضى عليك، وإنه لا يذل من وليت، تباركت ربنا وتعاليت. ربنا ردنا إلى الإسلام ردا جميلا، ربنا ردنا إلى الإسلام ردا جميلا، ربنا ردنا إلى الإسلام ردا جميلا. اللهم يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على طاعتك. اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه، وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه يا رب العالمين. اللهم يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على طاعتك يا رب العالمين. اللهم ارحم المسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات يا رب العالمين. اللهم ارحم المسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات يا رب العالمين. اللهم ارحم المسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات يا رب العالمين. اللهم اشف مرضى المسلمين جميعا يا رب العالمين. اللهم اشف مرضى المسلمين جميعا يا رب العالمين. اللهم اشف مرضى المسلمين جميعا يا رب العالمين. اللهم خفف عنهم، اللهم خفف عنهم، اللهم خفف عنهم يا رب العالمين. اللهم إنا مغلوبون فانصرنا، اللهم إنا مغلوبون فانصرنا، اللهم إنا مغلوبون فانصرنا. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين. وأقم الصلاة إن الصلاة تنهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون.
الله أكبر الله أكبر، أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله، أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة، حي على الفلاح، قد قامت الصلاة.